Good morning, my family. So it is a, rainy, cold Wednesday morning here. Yesterday was my birthday, so I kind of took some time off, and I reflected on a few things that I'd like to do in my future, and especially now being the holidays. But I wanted to share with you a little gift that my husband had gotten me that was pretty exciting. So I'm not too ashamed to say that I am in my mid 50s, and I had just got my very first Corningware baking dishes. I started out with a 2-quart casserole dish, and then my husband had another opportunity that came up that got me a meat platter, a roaster lasagna pan, a Dutch baking pan, and another small one. And then there came this Corningware. This one right here. Let me show you this. Corningware coffee pot. Now, I am aware that back in 1960 and 1976, that particular one was recalled. And yes, this is one of those recalled items. There were some tips, and the reason they were recalled basically is the epoxy that they used in that particular item would separate from the ceramic base. And that was due to the fluctuation of hot and cold. They didn't explode or nothing. It just that the ceramic or the epoxy came loose. So one of the things that was suggested if we were to use these is to add hot water to it to keep from that fluctuating too bad, which I did this morning. And here is a cup from that. And y'all, this is the cleanest, the freshest pot of coffee I have had in such a long time. I have been using my Keurig and my Mr. Coffee maker for several years. I just learned how to use a percolator for the first time in my life, which I have a camping one, and learning how to do that with this Corningware will allow me to technically brew a cup of coffee off grid in my camping aluminum or stainless steel pot, whatever it is. I could put that on my wood stove and have a cup of coffee. But it also, having this cup of coffee, turned around and had me go out buy bottles of vinegar, and I am deep cleaning the heck out of my coffee makers, because wow, is this coffee good, and kind of makes me want to keep using that one over there. But I do want to spare its time due to the fact that it is a recalled item, but it is still usable. What I do is I will take it off of the eye after it starts percolating for so long, and I will also use a pot holder if I pick it up. So I try to take care of it, even and knowing that it's a recalled item but still usable. And I know I'm taking risk by using it. We may look for the ones that were not recalled, and what they were saying was there was 3 very small imprinted numbers on the right hand corner of the handle, lower end. And if you have one of those with those numbers on it, it is not a recalled item. It will never be a recalled item. So count yourself blessed. We're going to look for one of those, and if we do find that one, I will probably use that one more often, and then just use this one for a decorating piece on my stove, because it is kind of cool and it does match the cabin and the homesteading way. But that is not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is we have been on a low carb, sugar free, or Mediterranean holiday, and that's what we're on today. Now, I had showed you how to make some beautiful sugar-free cranberry juice from concentrate. I just did yesterday a dozen more jars of chicken broth. Amazing, y'all. Liquid gold in a jar. That's the best you can absolutely get. And so I've showed you how to make some cornbread stuffing and regular bread stuffing so that you could have that as well. But today we're going to talk about cranberry sauce, and not your ordinary cranberry sauce either. For those who have stayed with me, the nearly 2,800 subscribers who's been with me from the beginning as well, know that I'm just not your ordinary everyday homesteader. I have a touch of gourmet within me, and today is no different when it comes to our cranberry sauce. So I'm going to show you some methods on how to can sugar-free cranberry sauce for you and your family, plus add a touch of gourmet and some beautiful flavoring to your cranberries. So I am going to, first of all, take care of this coffee pot, get it cleaned up, and when I finish emptying this out, we will be right back, because I'm going to tell you what you're going to need, and I'm going to show you both ways and how we're going to fix the cranberries from here. All right, y'all, it's time to get in the kitchen today, but I'm hoping to bring some excitement to you. I also, I wanted to tell you, I'm super excited. I know it's crazy to be excited like that, but not only did I get my first ever Corningware bakeware from my husband for my birthday, but my son and daughter-in-law got me one of the best gifts I've ever had in my life as well. And they got me this 38-piece Pioneer Woman bakeware and cookware. Y'all, this matches my kitchen even. It's the maroon speckled. I got so excited over this. This was amazing. This is my first ever Pioneer Woman, and I love Pioneer Woman stuff. I love their bakeware. I love her cookware. I just love Pioneer Woman, and this was my very first set. It took me 50-something years to be able to get my first sets of anything. So to me, it was an awesome, and I'm not really all about the gifts. I'm really not. But it was just amazing because it's who I am. It's country, it's who I am, it's the color, it's the aspect of what I do, old-fashioned. It was just perfect. So I told them, if anybody ever wanted to get me anything, make it easy as Pioneer Woman. I'm perfectly happy with that. Or small baking dishes, because I am learning. I grew up and had a big family as well with my kids. We made big dishes, enough to feed a huge family. When you go from a huge family, because we were, at the time, me and my husband, we were also taking care of foster kids. And everybody grew up and went on their own, and now we're empty nesting, well, up until one of our kids came back home. But we have been empty nesting, so I've had to learn how to downgrade everything, and that's been a challenge. The only way I could do this is get smaller dishes. So this is actually working out really good. So you're going to find in my videos when we go to baking probably some little fancier baking dishes, smaller baking dishes, and ones from Pioneer Woman. I am so excited. Sorry, y'all. I am excited to be in my kitchen. So anyway, the cranberries. Now, I don't have any more bags of cranberries because the last bag I had, I actually used it in a dish that we had the other night. That was the most amazing chicken I have ever had in a Mediterranean lifestyle. And the Mediterranean dish, she presented a cranberry rosemary chicken that was phenomenal. One of these days I am going to do that video with y'all. My husband went for seconds. I was really shocked. It was that good. So, but I will tell you, that is not my recipe. It does belong to Susie from the Mediterranean dish, but it is an absolute phenomenal dish. So needless to say, I used my last bag of cranberries for that dish. So I will be buying some more, and found out because of that with pork and chicken, cranberries go great. And we're going to actually do a cranberry sauce because I'm making a ranch baked chicken or ranch baked pork chops tonight for supper, and cranberry sauce is going to be served on the side of it with some artichoke. So I definitely will be looking for my sales. I will be getting some extra cranberries and putting them in my freezer. I found I do want that for the winter. But when we did our cranberry juice, I ended up with all of this pulp. This is what we're going to do our basic base for our cranberry sauce, and I'm going to show you what to do afterwards. Now I am doing a basic base because it's basically safer when it comes to canning. Now on a sugar-free basis, I will tell you I'm kind of stepping out of the comfortability, y'all. There is not much information on doing a sugar-free canning session on many things. Now there is for maybe jams and jellies and stuff like that. But when it came to cranberries, it's a variation here. I told you I called the extension office and they couldn't give me information. Bottom line to this is nobody tested it. But when I look at all of the recipes, when I look, and I've done some extensive research just before doing this video, cranberries are very acidic. They also create their own pectin. The only time a pectin was maybe added with cranberries was to make a Christmas jam. And that is also because there is raspberries within that mix. But for the most part, cranberries are not added pectin because of the pectin that they create themselves. Also, they claim, the extension office claim that sugar, although in most recipes is used as just a sweetener flavoring, they claim that somehow this sugar is part of the pH. It didn't make any sense to me. I think they were just trying to figure out a way, in my opinion. I could be so wrong about this, but I think they were just trying to find a way to come around and say, well, we didn't test it, so let's come up with an excuse. I am going to be using the suggested sugar substitute used when making jams and jellies, and that would be using spelnda or sucralose or stevia, any of those types. I don't use anything but the sucralose. The spelnda will work for me on this. I don't particularly like it, but if I want to be able to can a sugar-free, I have to have some form of sugar. I will tell you, for those of you who are like me who love monk fruit, don't use it for canning, because unless you love the frozen effect, when I mean beautiful snowflakes all over your jar that exploded, don't use monk fruit because it will crystallize into this snowflake effect. So the recommended safe canning sugar substitute basically is spelnda, and I am using sucralose. So I'm just going to let you know that. Ordinarily I wouldn't, and if I knew for a fact that I didn't have to add sugar at all, I wouldn't be even adding it. I would just be canning my cranberry base with just the cranberry sauce, and that's it. But to be on the safe method as much as I can, and we're going to be eating this throughout the winter because I'm not going to make this grand big mass of amount, because some of this I'm actually going to freeze. I'm not doing an entire batch. I'm going to do a couple jars for pint jars for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then all the rest of them are going to be half pints to use in side dishes like tonight in our meal. And then I'm going to take quite a few of them, and I'm going to put them in freezer, small freezer or pint bags, whatever you want to call them, and we're going to freeze them. So we're going to do a small batch of cranberries, and then I'm going to show you what to do with those jars after your bases, because we have no flavoring in it. All we're going to have is our cranberry base, our pulp, our water, and our sugar. From there, I'm going to show you how to up your game and turn your cranberry sauce into something you never thought you could do, gourmet style, yet sugar-free. So let's get started. Okay, my family. So I have 4 quart bags, which I did only half. So that equals about a pint of cranberry pulp. I have 4 quart bags of that. Half of that is now in the freezer. I have approximately a cup, 2 cups at the most with supper tonight, that I'm going to make some extra, which I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this. And so this leaves us 5 cups left to can. So I am actually, I'm added my 5 cups of pulp, and this is nothing but pulp, y'all. There are some berries still kind of whole in here, not too much, but that's all this is. We're going to keep it basic. So now I'm going to take a look at what 3 cups of water to this is going to be. It might be too much, so I'm going to just do 1 cup at a time, and we're going to go from there and see how this is going to look. We don't want it super thin, but we don't want it super thick either. One. Let me go ahead, and I'm going to keep adding this cups in at a time. But right now, as you see, I'm just going to go ahead. I added my first cup, so I'm going to stir that in here. And I'm going to see how thick this becomes. It looks like it's going to need at least another cup of this. So go ahead and add 2 cups. Now remember, there's 5 cups of pulp in here. So we just want that medium base. Yes, that's it. So my 5 cups of pulp, adding 2 cups seems to have been the right measurement to this. Now, as I'm heating it up, I may have to add some more. We'll see if it thickens up anymore or not. Now, as far as the amount of sugar, that's going to be based by taste preference, y'all. I would add sugar to it now, here's what I'm going to say about the sugar. If you are not having to worry about diabetes and you are just like ordinary, regular folks who doesn't have these health issues, add the amount of sugar to your flavor and your taste preference. For those of you who are like us, who have diabetes in your family or somebody who has it, go based by flavor. But again, please use a recommended sugar for canning. And unfortunately, it's not the greatest, but Spelnda is one of those that is acceptable, or a sucralose. So I am going to be using that, like I said. Now, another thing, if you do not have health issues, instead of water, you could add orange juice to this easily. For those of you who are like me, who have a diabetic, orange juice is not a really recommended type of thing to add to your cranberries, so we add water. However, we can add a boost, and that's what I am going to use. Is I have two oranges that we're using the rind, so I am actually going to be adding orange rind from 2 oranges into my 5 cups of cranberry pulp. This is just going to give me a bit of an orangey flavor into my base. Now, the reason I am adding nothing else but that to this is when it comes to cranberries, you can use this for more than just a sauce. Cranberries can be made into a jam. It can be made into a compote. Something you would serve over the top of cream cheese. Serve it with a cracker of sorts, and then you have this beautiful, you can add jalapenos to it, pepper, you can make it sweet or savory. So I am doing nothing but a base. That way you can turn it from there any way you want, which I will show you. I'm going to turn mine into a cranberry sauce, gourmet style. So this is all I'm going to add to this besides the sugar is just the rind, because I have a diabetic. Just adding rind and then sugar substitute. And this is what we will be canning. Looks like I could stand just a little bit more water to this as well. So right now I'm going to go ahead and get this heated up. I'm going to add just maybe a half a cup more of water. In the meantime, I've got my jars in my, this is a water bath canning method, y'all. So I've got my canning jars in my water bath canner waiting to be filled. So I'm going to heat this up, and once I get it to the heated completely through, we will be back to can this, and I will show you what to do. Now I do still have to add my sugar, and I'm going to go get my sugar and let you know how much we're going to add to this. Okay, yeah, so I had just added 1 cup to my 5 cups of cranberries. I will put this recipe down for you. And matter of fact, I'm writing this down myself because I've never done it this way. The bulk canning book states that you need, as far as cranberries, you'll need fresh cranberries, about 2.5 pounds or 2 quarts of cranberries, 4 cups of water, 4 cups of sugar. That is what their recommended is on the Blue Book Guide to Preserving book on page 24, I believe. No, 21. My bad. It's 21. So I'm using the pulp for my cranberry juice because I didn't want to waste anything. So that was 5 cups of pulp. 2 zest from 2 oranges. And then I had about 2.5 cups so far of water. Now I am tasting because I added 1 cup of sugar substitute so far. So I'm tasting as I go along on this, on how much sugar I want it. I don't want it super sweet. And I know my hubby, he'll want this just a little bit sweeter, so I'm going to add another cup. That is the one issue which honestly helped him become a diabetic, was the man has a sweet tooth unlike anyone I've ever seen before. So I'm going to add 2 cups, and I'm thinking 2 cups of this ought to be enough for this level. Again, please go based by your taste method, your flavoring, your sweetness. There is no rule in that as to how much you want to add. I'm not going to tell anybody to do that. Now I need to thicken this up. Now I'm going to tell you, at this point, my cranberries are way too thin. I may have to add cranberry to it. So I would cut back on the water on this, y'all. Like I said, I'm going to give you the adjusted amounts to this based by what I'm seeing here. We'll see if it thickens back up though once I get it heated through. You know, sometimes I just do these recipes along with you to see how it goes. So I do want this a little thicker, so I may see if I have any cranberries left in the refrigerator to add to this as well. So we will be back. Okay, y'all, so what I am going to suggest, I actually added a half a bag of cranberries to this as well. I'm waiting for it to heat up. Those cranberries explode and release their pectin. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest. I am going to give you the recipe in the bulk canning book to be able to can your own cranberries based by the recipe that they gave you, plus the instructions. Most generally, you all are not going to have this pulp like I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that. For those who had the pulp like I do, who did the cranberry juice and wanted to save the pulp to can, I ended up making, I've had to add the pot that I had reserved with the pulp. I added it to it because I had to thicken this up. It turned out to be too thin with 2.5 cups. I'm only going to suggest if you have 5 cups of pulp, go 1 to 1.5 at the most. Do not add any more to that. I'm having to thicken this up. So, and it does heat up too. Once it heats up, it kind of thins out a little bit. So the most thing I'm going to do is add the recipe and how to can it. Again, it calls for regular sugar. You can this with Splenda, y'all. So, and that will be a very simple, and I will give you, also you can add the orange zest to it. For those who do not have any health issues, you can, instead of water, you can add orange juice. So right now, I'm just waiting for this batch of cranberries I added to this, which was from my chicken dish the other day. I'm waiting for those cranberries to burst. Once they burst, this should be hot enough to start canning it. I'm going to take some of this and add it to my pot because I still want to show you how to make cranberry sauce for a diabetic in a gourmet style, because I do want that with my supper tonight. So even though I added it from the pot, I'm going to turn around and take some of this away. So we will be right back. I hope I'm not confusing you. Sometimes everything is trial and error, and I'm not like most people, I guess. They come on here and they have all their ducks in a row. I don't always have my ducks in a row. I like to experiment with you. We both learn new things, so this is like hands-on what can happen and what we need to do. I like hands-on. I really do. Sometimes things just don't work out, so you improvise. This is ways of finding how to improvise, you know, or fix a problem. So we're the problem solver today here. But it's for a good cause, because this still tastes amazing, y'all. So as soon as these berries are bursted, we will be back and show you what we're going to do. Okay, y'all, so now it's time for canning. And like I said, this is water bath canning. Now I am actually going to pull some of this out for supper tonight. So before I even begin and get to carrying away, I'm going to pull a couple soup spoons full out for supper tonight, and I'm going to show you how we're going to dress that up actually. So that's been pulled aside, and then the rest of this we're going to can. I'm going to start with the pint jars first, because these I want to use for the holidays. The other ones are just to be used basically towards everyday use in the winter time. I will tell you that cranberries go exceptionally well with pork and chicken. It's not just for the holidays, y'all. And even I am learning that cranberries have an amazing flavor to meat that I never thought was possible until I learned that dish by the Mediterranean dish with that chicken. She changed my mind forever on this. So now I am going to get my canning funnel, and I am looking for a 1/2 inch headspace for these. I want to clean this up because I want all of my yumminess on this one here. We will come back to that one. So here I want to do my 1/2 inch headspace on my cranberry sauce. Now, like I said, I will have basically a small batch of this. Okay, I'm going to pull this up right there. And then go on to the next jar. Remember, cranberries can be very messy and they stain pretty good, so. Okay, I'm going to go from here. And you do definitely have to debubble this. So I'm going to get my debubbler at this point. I may have to pull some of that out of this one here. Then I'm going to go through here. Make sure all of my bubbles are out of my jar. Again, you want to clean your rims and clean the sides like I just did this one if you go over. So here, I got some on here. Scrape off my debubbler because I'm going to turn this around and check my headspace. Now my 1/2 inch I'm looking for. It's right there. That one's just right. That one needs just a little bit more. Not a whole lot though. I'm going to go ahead again, get my debubbler here to settle. Actually, to go ahead and settle the cranberry juice in here. And check my headspace again. And that's it. So now I'm going to take I use vinegar to clean my edges and my jars. Now this one kind of ran over some, so I'm going to take some of this and pull it away just so I can get some of that edge. That I did not want it to happen, but it does. It happens to the best of us. So now I'm just going to clean my edges all the way around here. Since I started canning, and that was even before my husband was a diabetic, I've been canning my own cranberry sauce for a couple years now. And since doing my own, whether it was sugar-free or not, I have not bought cranberry juice or cranberry sauce, because there's just nothing like homemade. There really isn't. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my lids to both of these. Here are the prettiest jars you can actually ever seen too. We used to, in our younger days, we used to buy that canned jellied stuff that had the ring on it, and when I started tasting homemade, it blew my mind. I just couldn't find myself eating that other. Look, y'all, see how pretty these are? They're gorgeous. So I'm going to have to actually put some more water in this canner, because you want 1 inch above the jars. So that's just not quite enough for the pint jars. It is for these 1/2 pints, but not the pints. So I'll be adding some more water to this before we get ready to process it. I'm going to go ahead and get these little 1/2 pints out now. And these are the ones we are going to use to for our everyday meat source. So again, I'm going to get my strainer here. And we're going to fill up these little jars here. Now, I'm going to take this as far as I can, y'all. The more we get, the better off, I guess. But I won't have to add any more, that's for sure. I'm looking for a 1/2 inch headspace and go on to my next. I asked hubby if he wanted me to can some just for every day, and he said, heck yeah, if it made that chicken taste that good, absolutely. Of course, those were made, that meal was made with whole cranberries. But you can use this sauce if you wanted to. I think some of these, I might have a little bit too much. in some of these jars, but I can always take it away. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit carried away here. So I'm going to go ahead and finish off these jars, and I'll let you know how much we got in the end of this. So we shall be right back. Okay, y'all, so we got 5 half-pint jars and 2 pint jars out of what I had left, on top of pulling out what we have for supper tonight. So at this point now, I am going to bring our water bath canner. Let me adjust you here. We're going to bring our water bath canner here now up to a boil, as it rolling boil. Not super bad rolling boil, but you want a nice rolling boil. And we will set our timer at that point for 15 minutes. So our next step right now is waiting for this to boil. And once we do, we will set our timer for 15 minutes. Now, I am also going to, at this point, get my ingredients, because I am going to show you how to dress up your cranberry sauce and make it into a nice gourmet style for whether your supper, your holidays. Take your ordinary plain cranberry sauce that we are doing here and turn it into pizzazz. So we will be right back. Okay, so here is where we are going to doctor up a basic cranberry sauce. Now, I will tell you, the recipe I'm going to give you is not made by the already made pulp. The recipe I'm actually going to give you is for those who want to. If you do not want to can your cranberries, I absolutely understand. So I'm going to show you how, if you have canned your cranberry sauce like me and did it basically, I'm going to show you how, or what ingredients to use. Taste, y'all. This is going to be a taste test going by your measurement of taste and your palate. Otherwise, I am going to include a cranberry sauce of using 4 cups of whole cranberries. You want to use 1 cup of water or juice. If you are not a diabetic with health issues, you can absolutely use orange juice in this. If you are a diabetic, use water. And then 2 cups of sugar. Again, at that point, you can use whatever sugar that you are used to. So say, and substitute, you're not canning this, so if you want to use monk fruit, use whatever sugar that you use. Or if you don't have health issues, use regular sugar. And so here is where we're going to up the game on our cranberries. We most generally have bought our cranberries, and they have just that plain cranberry flavor, although at the time we thought was really good, but highly sweet. So I started changing the way I do cranberries as of last year, when I started actually making my own juice and realized that pulp had so much benefit on top of flavor. It was amazing. So I've made my own since, and since then have been vamping up my recipe. So my next ingredients I am going to be using is cloves, nutmeg, and cinnamon. You can use ginger if you want to. And then this is where it's going to set it over the edge, is we are going to be using some Grand Marnier. Now, if you did not want to use the Grand Marnier, you can use an orange extract to up and boost that flavor. But I will tell you that Grand Marnier, you cook this and heat it up, you will actually cook the alcohol out of it. But the flavor that remains behind is unlike anything you've ever done. So I have about a cup to a cup and a quarter of cranberry sauce in here. So based by the recipe I have, I'm just going to be using 1/4 teaspoons to 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I'm going to be using cinnamon and nutmeg at 1/4 teaspoon each for that. And I'm going to taste this afterwards. If I want to add more to it, I absolutely will. Now I'm also going to be adding some cardamom. So there's my 1/4 teaspoon each of nutmeg and of my cinnamon. I need to get my cardamom out, y'all. No, I have it. So here I'm going to use 1/8 of a teaspoon of cardamom and cloves. Again, you can use ginger if you want to. So half of that. Along with this for my cloves. And I'm going to add about 1/2 tablespoon of Grand Marnier. I may end up going ahead and adding 1 tablespoon, but I don't want it overpowering either. So we're going to add. I always start out with less and I can always add more later. Oh, y'all, if you could smell this stuff. Whoo! My goodness. And this is what I like. If you're going to make something for the holidays, I've learned something that's vitally important. It was never taught to me, but I guess it's out of observation. And it's something that blew my mind, but it's absolutely truth. And it's not spoken out there too much, in a sense. And I know I'm getting down to where what I'm fixing to tell you all, but it will help you, I'm sure, with every holiday from now on. Let me get this tested first. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, y'all. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get this on the stove and get this heated up. Like I said, I have room for adding more if I wanted to. We'll see what it tastes like once we get this heated, and we will be back at that point. Okay, my family, so now that I'm not distracted, what happened earlier is I was distracted because I could hear something that was going on outside and I had to check it out. But to help you into your holidays, I have learned one thing, and I've heard this over and over, but it didn't click, that we eat with our eyes. What that means is the presentation that we put on our tables and around the holidays, if you think about it, everybody looks forward to that feast. The feast upon your table. They look forward to the taste. This is something extremely special. The family gets together and the food is the main attraction. So it took me a while to understand that. So when it comes to me, yes, for Christmas there's your gifts and all, but still again, that food is your main attraction. For Thanksgiving, that food is the one everybody concentrates on. You want to do your best. And so when it comes to me and my family, whether I have a diabetic, Mediterranean or not, I am going to serve the ultimate best for my family. Now, if I didn't want a turkey, I would literally have served that cranberry chicken dish that we had the other day. It was absolutely perfect for a Thanksgiving meal, especially for two. I will be getting that recipe out to you all and doing a video over that one. I promise you. I don't know if it'll be before Thanksgiving or not because I have to go get more cranberries. I used all my cranberries, so I'm going to have to get some more. And right now we have some other bills to take care of before I can go shopping. And besides that, we are actually getting ready to do our pantry challenge. So I have some final shopping to do before that happens because we are very, very close to stopping filling up our shelves and start using what we have for the next couple months. So look forward to those videos. They're coming up, y'all, and I will be showing you how to use what we have when I take you through that final tour and show you how to use what we have to get us through each month. So the reason I want to be able to add that beautiful flavoring to even cranberry sauce is because I know my family looks forward to this table. I am not your ordinary cook. I do have a touch of gourmet within inside of me as well. So my family is used to me. They are used to those flavors. They expect that from me, and I expect that from myself. So that is the reason why I will take an ordinary cranberry sauce and I'm going to up my game. Adding Grand Marnier, when I did that for Christmas jam last year, I couldn't do this for my husband now, but I can add it to our cranberry sauce. That Grand Marnier is an orange liqueur that adds such a bold flavor. It is unlike anything I can describe, and adding that with spices of clove and cinnamon, nutmeg and cardamom and some ginger maybe. These are up to you if you want to add these ingredients or not. I'm just going to offer it to you. You can keep yours plain if you wanted to. You can just add cinnamon if you wanted to. There's no rule to it. You can do what you want. I just wanted to present to you something that is, to me, a wow stopper. So that's what we're doing, and we are waiting for our cranberries to heat up. And once that happens, I'm going to be back with you, because that will more than likely take the end of this video. We are still waiting for our jars to heat up and boil so that we can finish our processing. I'm still going to take you through that before we are finished, but I'm hoping you're enjoying this. But remember, this pertains to every holiday or every time you have a huge gathering. Everybody eats with their eyes, you all. Believe it or not, their main attraction is going to be your feast, your table. Make it your best. And with that, we'll be right back. Okay, my family, so this is our cranberry sauce that we're going to have tonight. It's not too thick, it's not too thin. It has, as you can see, we can spread it past here. So just remember also that when it cools, it thickens as it cools. So this, oh Lord, y'all, that is an amazing flavored cranberry sauce I have ever tasted, and this is going to be my go-to cranberry sauce from now on for everything, holidays, dishes, everything. So like I said, we're just doing our basic cranberry sauce right here that we are canning, and you can change this. You can make it savory, sweet, like we just did here. You can do cranberry sauces in any way you want to. We're going to go ahead and finish off this canning session. I'm waiting for this to rolling boil. When I do, I will time this for 15 minutes. At that point, I will show you what to do. Okay, our family, at this point, our timer has just gone off for our 15 minutes. We are going to turn the stove off, and we are going to lift our lid. Remember, lift it away from you because that steam will come up. We are going to allow this to come down now. From here, I'm going to reset my timer for 5 minutes. We do not want to remove these from the water yet. So I'm going to reset this for 5 minutes. Once our 5 minutes are up, the canning process for this is completely finished. Now this really doesn't take that long to make. Now in the video it might have looked like that because, well, I have prolonged the days to be able to do this, but it really doesn't take all that much. If you wanted to just be able to not use the pulp and just use your bags of cranberries with the recipe I'm fixing to give you, you can easily do this within a day. Now the recipe for the cranberry sauce, I do not know if you want to double that recipe or not. I've never doubled it. That will be completely up to your judgment if you want to do that or not. But I think when I did this at the time, that's before my husband became diabetic, and that's when I became devastated because I had made a big bunch. This is the reason why I decided from now on to make smaller batches. I made a big batch, and it was then my husband was diagnosed with diabetes, and I had a bunch of cranberry sauce on my pantry. I ended up giving away quite a bit, but I couldn't give it all away. So there was a lot of loss. So from now on, I decided to just do small batches. So I'm going to suggest, you never know what's going to happen. You may even find you don't even like this. So do small batches, or the single batch of the recipe from the bulk canning book, and go from there. If you happen to like the base of it, then that's fine. Absolutely, go ahead and make yourself some more. Also, when I did the cranberry sauce for supper tonight, and when I showed you how to use with the Grand Marnier and all the spices, because this is a spiced, basically, a holiday spiced cranberry sauce. If you chose not to use Grand Marnier, and I don't know if I spoke of this or not, you do not have to use it. If you want to add a profound more flavor of orange, you can actually use orange extract. Start with a small amount of 1/4 teaspoon and work your way up from there to see how much that you would prefer to have in flavor. But that's an alternative to Grand Marnier. If you do not want to get it or don't want the alcohol in it, you could use orange extract. So we're going to wait for our 5 minutes on this, and that will be the end of the session. Okay, y'all, so our cranberries are finished. I have got to show this to y'all. Look how beautiful that is. You are not going to find this at no store. We're just going to go ahead and take these jars out of our pot, and once I do that, we will be right back. And that would conclude this video, y'all. I am hoping that by presenting these videos to you, giving you a way of showing how to add some pizzazz, even if you have a medical condition like diabetes, or even if you are watching the sugar you have in your life, or eating Mediterranean, or watching your health, there are ways to still have an amazing meal. And personally, in my opinion, we are eating far better than we have ever eaten before. I'm going to tell you, since I quit smoking, that was nearly 9 months ago. Almost, right? March will be a year. So it's about 8 or 9 months. Since I quit smoking, since we started eating healthier, since we started dropping sugar, I am finding literally the food that I am creating, I don't know if it's just because I can taste it better or what, but food tastes so much better than anything I ever did processed. Since I literally started doing everything from scratch to the best of my ability, doing everything I can from scratch, we feel so much better. And I will explain to you something that happened to me this week. I had told you I was doing that. I did that video with y'all, being very open and honest with you how I was cheating in my food, and basically I went back to processed foods. And the other day was my last resort. That was my final, I have had enough. We had some takeout pizza with my family. Hubby's blood sugar spiked to 199 the next day, and I only had 1.5 pieces of that pizza, but I'm quite positive it had to do with the accumulation of everything that I was dipping my hands into. I knew I shouldn't have anyways. We had a Christmas open house last weekend here in town, so people had some hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and so I tried candy and this. I was never so sick to my stomach in my life. I had hit my, I guess you could say, hold the brakes. I had enough. I became so, my body was so swollen yesterday, y'all. I was so run down. All I wanted to do was sleep. I have not felt like that in over a year. I was miserable. My body felt like I was 300 pounds, so swollen, and it was just, oh my Lord, awful. I told my husband, I asked how he was feeling, and he was telling me that even just with the 3 pieces that he ate, he felt awful. And so we have decided to to understand that the food we used to eat isn't good for us. And honestly, we're not missing anything. We'll just continue to keep on the path of full Mediterranean and adding in low carb, sugar free items, because to us, it tastes a whole lot better. Our bodies are accepting our life so much more better. And honestly, it's just not worth going back to what we used to do. I can't. I have learned, and I don't know if this is a benefit to any of you all or not. I'm going to sit down with a coffee moment with you for just a minute, because this might be beneficial to many of you. Okay, my family, overlook the kitchen at the moment. It's not at its prime because, well, we have been cooking in here. So I have learned, I kind of knew, but then it just didn't hit me until we started dipping in areas we shouldn't have gone. I had made hubby a pizza before using sourdough bread crust. I have made him bread sources, but it was not store-bought. The crust that I did was not store-bought. Everything I have done, the mashed potatoes were not pre-packaged. Everything has been homemade, made from real fruits, vegetables, and grains, and prepared by scratch. And now I have noticed that his blood sugar, and we know it's his medication, but it absolutely makes a difference, because versus the pizza that he ate, and in my family got him from Little Caesars. So, and he'd been trying to tell him he couldn't eat it, but finally he said, you know what, let me just try it. And we did, and 3 pieces of that, honestly, it was bad. It came from Little Caesars and spiked him to 199. Now, it could have been a whole lot worse. But when I made him real pizza from scratch, he never went past 120. So it started getting me thinking. I had made him bread. He had sourdough bread buns, as a matter of fact. He never went past 110. So I am wondering now, we know it was a medication, but is cooking from scratch extremely beneficial as well? When we think about all the preservatives and the hidden sugars in all the foods that are prepared or have nitrates, or all of the processed foods, when you make food from scratch, homemade versus processed, y'all, there is a major difference in your blood sugar count. We are literally finding this out. Again, I understand it also has to do with the medication, but that medication can be adjusted if he was not eating properly. So we have to understand that he did spike to 199, which is not a good mark. We do not want to see anything past 140, which is a normal person's blood sugar. For a diabetic, you do not want to see nothing past 180, and he was past that. So even with his medication, we do not want to see this. But under homemade, he never even reached normality, even for somebody like me or his level at 180. So I am starting to understand that maybe homemade, and I wanted to share this with you, because there's a lot of people in this world still to this day that were using and still are using a lot of processed meals. And I am here to tell you, if it helps you, try homemade versus processed and see if it ain't a difference in your blood sugar as well. So, and today we did sugar-free cranberry sauce. You know, you're not going to buy that from the store. It is homemade, and you can vamp it up any way you want, or you can use it as plain as you want to. You can change this ingredient based by a base into anything you want to. You can make a compote, you can make sauce out of it, you can do whatever you want from this. You can just serve it with your favorite low carb crackers and cream cheese if you wanted to. So I want to be able to bring you peace, love, joy, flavor to your table for the holidays, even if you're a diabetic, or even if you're like me, watching your weight and want to be able to have a nice meal for Thanksgiving, Christmas. You know, we've got both of these coming up, and be able to say, you know what, it feels good because I don't feel deprived. Homemade is the way to go, y'all, and homemade is what Mediterranean is all about. This is the reason why people in the Mediterranean world, in Italy, in Greece, they're able to, most places, maintain their weight because they're eating food that are made from scratch. It's not processed. There is a key to this, and I'm figuring it out. What ballooned us up? A lot of this was inflammation, water weight, and due to the processing of using a lot of processed food, nitrate foods, this is what brought us up into well over the 200 mark on our weight, which declined our health, promoted heart disease and diabetes, pre-diabetes. This is what created all of that. When I started doing homemade, we became better. So I'm hoping this helps you. So I love you all. I have a video coming up that I was requested about. It's going to be a coffee moment with you on canning. I am going to do a water bath versus pressure canning segment on what you can do with each one, where your limitations are, and what is possible, what you can do water bath canning versus what has to be done pressure canning. So look forward to that video coming up soon before the holidays, because a lot of after leftovers in your turkey and things like this, you can absolutely can and put on your shelf. So I will be bringing this to you very soon before the holidays, so you maybe can be prepared. And what do I do with all these leftovers? I have solutions. So until next time, much love to you from Parton's Heritage Homestead.